So perhaps an easier way to explain this is I use the caveman analogy. You see, back in the Stone Age, survival depended on how well a man can hunt, and it was mostly men that did the hunting because of the physical nature of hunting. And the more successful a man was at hunting, the more food was available and the more he could support a family. Now, during winter, there is less game available to hunt and conditions make it more difficult. Therefore, it was best to preserve enough meat to make sure you got through the leaner times, such as winter. And as you can only do one thing at a time, this means that as a hunter, you needed to take time off from hunting to do the skinning and the preserving. So then you're going to have less time to do all the hunting, and so you're going to bring in less game. Simply because you're going to have to stop hunting, doing the skinning and preserving. So while you're doing that, you're not able to go do your hunting. So what you need is not a second hunter, but you need someone to be there doing the skinning and the preserving. And so with someone doing that, then you can devote all your time to hunting. And not only are you going to be a better hunter as well and be able to bring more game, the more you go at it, the better you become and the more you're able to bring in. Okay, and then there's more abundance. And then the more you bring in, of course, the more she's got to be able to preserve. Okay, and then you have stored stored food supply. You don't have to worry about going hungry, even if there happens to be what do you call a drought or something for a long time. You're fine. Now, this analogy is the same as in modern life. Just think about it. You go to work. And because you're on your own, you have to try to find the time to handle the finances as well as everything else. And as you can only spare a small amount of time to do this, this means you're not going to be able to look after your finances very well. And in addition, your focus is going to be divided between your work or your job and having to look after everything else in your life. So, and with people nowadays, there's so much that you have to look after. Your car regos due, your car insurance, house insurance, or whatever, lodging your tax returns in time, looking after your super or 401ks, if the US, your retirement savings, or mortgage rates, or if there happens to be an accident or a car accident, sort that out. Or what if issues with the plumbing or the electrical? Organize a tradesman to go in and do it if you can't do it yourself. But if you try to do it yourself, then you have to find the time to do it as well. So, which also means you won't have the time to go research and look into investments as to how to grow your money. But however, if you had a life partner, a wife, so to speak, her job then would be to handle all the finances and all the admin and make the money that you bring in stretch as far as she can. And if she's more capable, then be able to grow the money by making good investments. So think the analogy here with the Stone Age, you brought all the meat in. Your mate then would be able to cut out some of the meat you brought in, use it as bait, go and use it as bait and fish, and bring in more. And so she's actually grown your supply, your available meat supply and food supply from what you've given in. So she's actually grown it. Now, you did not need another hunter, as I say, but something to do the skinning and preserving, hopefully be able to grow the food supply. And in modern times, you don't need her to bring in another income, but to manage the money and hopefully to be able to grow it if she was more capable. And this is a trait you need to look for and know how to identify that trait, which I will talk about in a later show. And you only need another hunter, though, if game becomes scarce. So you need another hunter in order to be able to cover more terrain. So the analogy, how it's reflected in modern times, is that you only need your partner to work and bring in another income if conditions are that your income alone isn't enough to make ends meet, which unfortunately is most often the case now because of inflation and in this economic environment, and because we've had the feminist movement pushing people to work, pushing women to work. So it's changed from women can work if they want to now they have to work because one income is no longer enough. And it's sad that it's no longer enough, that we have to work, both partners have to work, but that's the way it's now become. And unfortunately, both partners will have to work, and somehow they're going to have to manage both of them or them, help with all the chores in the house. So, but I guess normally you'd have one person bring in a bigger income than the other partner, even if both partners work. So the one that's bringing in less income can have a bit more time or have a less pressure job, has put more of their time into looking after the admin. But they need to know that that job has to be done, managing the finances, whether you like it or not. So, and that job would be the person that's earning less of the money at the moment, or a person with a less high pressure job at the moment that would be doing that. So it makes more economic sense. And if you're trying, and remember, you're trying to achieve the best outcome for yourself as a couple. Okay? So in conclusion, having the right wife can greatly contribute to a man's success in both their personal and professional lives. So she can provide emotional, psychological support, physical support, motivation, and encouragement. And so all these factors would lead to increased productivity and job satisfaction and overall for men. Now, I know you're going to say that, I haven't met a woman that's like that. Well, did you actually go and look for one like that? Remember, you actually have to look for that trait in the beginning. You have to move away from just picking someone you like to actually thinking about what you need. This is the thing. We all do. We're all guilty of this. For everything else, we think about what we need first and then go to buy that. You might think, it's going to be cold soon. I'm going to need a coat for work. It's going to have to fit in with this, and this. Have to be this length to look professional and so forth. Obviously, it would need to be this type of fabric. I could be allergic to wool, or I don't like synthetics. It needs to be this or that, and needs to fit me. And so you go and look for one that would fit properly and look right, rather than picking something off the rack that just because it looks good and you like the look of it, but it doesn't serve your purpose. Same thing with a car, men. Before you buy a car, you think about what you need though first, don't you? If you're going to want to go off bushwalking or drive around through the mountains and so forth, you're not going to go pick a sports car just because it looks good and it appeals to you. You're going to need a 4-wheel drive because you're going to think of the terrain. It's got to be this size, have that capacity, how many passengers you think you're going to be driving with you, as to how big a car you need and how much gear you're going to carry. Then you go look for that car. Why do we do it with everything else except the one thing that is the most important decision of our lives, and that is who we're going to choose for our life partner, because that can make or break you. Okay? That one decision of our life. And don't think about trying to change that person off of it, because you can't change people. Think about yourself. Someone asks you to change. How can you do it? You might say yes. You might wholeheartedly want to commit and say change. But because it's not in your nature, and it doesn't come naturally to you, you're going to have to keep remembering to do it. And obviously you're going to forget. And when you forget, you don't do it. So it gets undone. And before men go saying, oh, it's just so hard, I'll just be on my own rather than getting a bad one. Yet it's correct in that you're better off on your own than with the wrong partner. However, nothing's going to beat being with the right partner. Because imagine if someone's sharing a life with you, they're going to have a vested interest in this life with you. And so they're going to want you to do well because you're in the same boat. Your partner's going to benefit if you do well. And remember, and you think, I know some men would say, oh, my ex-wife never thought of wanting the best for me and so forth, because she was not committed. Okay, she did not understand that this is working together and that she is basically joined to you. This is a life you're sharing together. This is the thing, attitude that you have to pick for as well. That they understand that what you do affects the other. So you want your partner to do well and support your partner to do well. And this is the thing, how different it is from, say, people, men would say, I've got friends, I've got families for support, I don't need a partner. But they're not sharing a life with you. They're not in the same boat. They are not going to be affected as much whether or not you do well. Okay, look, your family, take the best case scenario, your family. They might want the best thing for you, but they're not sharing your life with you. They've got their own family they've got to look after as well. With siblings and your parents, they may not understand and they're not sharing a life with you. They might mean well, but in effect, you can't expect them to work for you and do things with you as well as a partner would. And you're not living with them. So day to day, they're not going to understand. And your friends, no. I mean, they might catch up and so forth, might be a bit of a tip, but they're not going to go out of their way for you. Okay? I'll give a little example. Some maybe 15 years ago or so forth, the gold price dropped sharply overnight. And you saw videos of hordes of people in China especially rushing to buy gold. Okay. But this is one thing. If you look carefully at the videos, they were basically all women. Why? Because the men were all out at work. Too busy at work. And it was up to her. She has to be on it. And go in the crowd to muster and try to get all that gold because, that benefits her family, which is also you, providing for the family. So you don't have time to be on all this, keeping track of all these things happening. So you're going to miss out. And not only that, because you're stuck in your job or whatever, you don't have time to go and queue up and buy. Now, the thing is, would your friend, such good friends, would any of them go and line up for you to buy, even if you gave them the money, spend the whole day in a queue? The most that you can hope for is if they're already buying for themselves, happen to buy from themselves, then they might buy for you as well while they're at it. But they may not be ringing you up and telling you hey, do you want me to buy this for you? I'll line up and buy for you. That might not happen. So if you have that good a friend and they happen to also be there doing it for themselves, then maybe you can. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. So this is the advantage that you will have over a single guy, is that you've got someone else to watch your back, so to speak.